Hi, I'm Ali and a warm welcome to the China Repair Studio. So I thought in today's video I would have a little continuation of this lovely little jar lid which has been broken, and in my previous video I had actually glued it back together. So I thought today I would actually fill in the cracks here. If you can see, we've got some hairline cracks and a missing piece here. If you have missed the video when I did actually stick it together with some glue, I would highly recommend looking at that video first. So this is the second phase, if you like. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed before, please subscribe, like and share, and a thumbs up just to help with the algorithm. Right, so here we are. We've got this little pottery, Chinese pottery lid, which belongs to a Chinese jar, which is beautiful. And I just love it. Again, because it's pottery, it tends to break quite easy. So you do tend to find things like this happen all the time, lots of cracks and being broken quite easily. What I'm going to use is a product called Millput. Now, there are plenty on the market, and I like Millput because it does come in different colours, such as I think we've got, here we go, Superfine White, which is really easy to sand down as well, and probably my most go-to colour. It also comes in a turquoise blue and a standard, which tends to be more of a yellow colour. It also comes in black and terracotta. Now, I'd just like to say I'm not sponsored at all by Millput. It's just what I use. And if you do have anything you would recommend, which you love, please put it in the description box down below. I'd love to know, in the comments, sorry. Right, so when I'm looking at colours for an item, I always collect little discs of old Millput, because then you can tell the difference in colour to see if it's going to suit. So for instance, here is the turquoise, got an old black one here. Now this is the colour we're going to use today, the silver grey. And you can see here we have the white, and when you compare it, it is a different tone. And the silver grey, although you're never going to get the perfect colour, is as close as you're going to get to Chinese, which tends to be that bluey grey grounding in the background. So what we'll do first, we'll take it out of its packet. Now it comes in two parts, and you mix half of one part and half of the other in even quantities. So we'll just take this one out first. So what I do is I take a little bit and I roll it into a ball. And I do find by rolling it into a ball, I find it easier to make sure it's the same size as the other packet. Always make sure you wrap the packets up again, just so as for it not to harden in the packet. So we'll just take the other packet here. And as you can see, I always find one's definitely harder in texture than the other. And they're always in different colour tones. Now again, once you've got that, roll it into a ball, and then you can compare, and that's roughly the same size. So what you do then is you combine it together. Let me just put this in here. Now when you're combining, as you can see, it's a different colour of one to the other, which is great, because you'll know when it's completely combined, because you won't have that sort of marble effect. It doesn't take too long, just literally 30 seconds, depending on how large the piece is, obviously. And you want it, when it's done, to almost feel like blue tack. So it's quite soft and malleable. So we can actually put it into certain, so we can make certain bits and pieces from it and fill it into the cracks quite easily. Now that's kind of literally combined. Now I did notice I've still got some Scotch tape at the back of this. I'm just going to lift that off. Now when you are taking any Scotch tape off from any sort of item that you have actually fixed, if you have got something which is slightly sticky still, Scotch tape tends to be easier than sellotape. Sellotape tends to leave quite a gluey blob, whereas the Scotch tape tends to come off quite cleanly. But if you do have a little bit of stickiness, just use some some warm water with some washing up liquid, and that will take it off. Let's take that bit off there. Right, so this is nice and combined. So what I've got here, I do have a cup of water, which isn't necessary, but we might just smooth it down at the end, and a little tool. Now this has a flat edge, if you can see here. The only thing is, this is great, but you know, if you can't get hold of something like this, a small palette knife or even something such as a cocktail stick, you know, it will do the job. So once we've got our bit, I think we'll work on this part here. As you can see, there's a big, you know, sort of crack. So I like to just take my piece of Milliput, just need a little bit, and I just like to place it in. You want it to protrude slightly so it's easy for sanding. You don't want it to be completely flush, but again, you don't want to be, you know, putting too much on. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of hard work when it comes to sanding. Now, this is one method in which we can do this. So you're actually smoothing it in to the crease there. I've got slightly bit more of a hole in there. And then I'm going to show you another method when we do the underside. Again, I take a small amount and just smooth it in. Now, if you have the underside here, again, smoothing in is going to be quite tricky to get it in. You can actually take your piece of Milliput or whatever other product you use, and you can make a sausage shape. Just roll it in the fingers so it's fairly fine, and then you can place it where your crack is. Could have made it even finer, and then you can just place it in, and you could actually just smooth it with your fingers like so. So you could do it that way if you wanted. I do tend to find this one protrudes out. You do have a bit more hard work. It protrudes out slightly more. So when it does come to it, there is a bit more sanding involved. But that would do the job as well. So I'm just going to fix this bit here, and then we're going to do these bits here where they're missing. This part here in the middle is actually, I'm not going to fill this in. This was done when it was fired, so it's actually an original crack, if you like. So let's just do a little bit more here and fill this bit in here. Again, I'm going to use my finger because it's an awkward angle. Now, Milliput takes around 24 hours to dry before you can start to sand, and you know, it's fairly quick actually. The longer you leave it, the better, but 24 hours is perfectly fine. And still, also, if you do make one or two mistakes and you think, oh, I need to add a bit more or a bit less, you still have time. Let's try. That's it with the fingers. As I say, it's very hard at these angles. That's better. Just trying to show you here. Let me just do the side here. It's a big crack again. I'm going to use my fingers, try to work it right in. And add a little bit more. Right, so as you can see here, we are missing a few pieces. So what I would do is I would just take my fingers and just roll a little bit into a ball, see where the missing piece is, and literally we can just squidge it in. Again, make sure that it's protruding so it's easy. And again, we've got a bit here as well. I absolutely love Chinese pottery. Now, this is a lid to a jar, which is fine because the jar is more decorative. Now, if you did have, for instance, a lid to a teapot, yes, you could use, do the same thing, glue it, put some Milliput on and use, have it decorative as a teapot. But of course, if you're actually using it to actually make tea, as soon as you get hot water in the teapot and the lid is on, obviously it's going to soften the glue, and so it will actually break apart. So this is great for decorative pieces, but when it comes to lids, if you are actually using it for something which is hot, steam, I wouldn't recommend it because it will actually break apart. Right, and just looking there, it's looking pretty good. Just double check. A few bits there. You might have the odd little piece here, but I'm going to leave that as part of its life. And actually that's a different colour as well. So once we've done that, this is where the water comes in. Just want to take a little bit into our fingers, and we're just going to just slightly smooth it down. It will really help it get right into those cracks, and also it smooths it, so when it does come to actually sanding, you'll find it a lot easier. You haven't got any rough edges to begin with. And we'll just smooth it in a bit. Oops, that bit's come off, so that's okay. As I say, it's pliable. You can just, you've got time, wiggle time if you like, and then just smooth it down. One thing I would say, once you've used the water, don't apply any Milliput until it's dry, otherwise it goes a bit slippery and it doesn't actually, it's quite tricky to work with then. So there we go, that's all ready. So I'm going to leave this now for around 24 hours and then it'll be ready to sand. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video today, and hopefully it's been useful and you've enjoyed it. And again, please subscribe, like, share, and a thumbs up. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. Okay, bye.